Good evening, race fans, and welcome to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Here for 140 laps for the Underdog Racing League. And as usual, this is brought to you by Ultimate Siding and Gutters LLC. Our customers say we're the best in the business. We specialize in residential and commercial construction, and we've been in business for over 15 years. We only use the best materials and are dedicated to completing each project in a timely manner. There's nothing more important than a house to call a home. Ultimate Siding and Gutters. I am Carl Pooler here with Zach Hall in the booth, and of course Robert Moyer Jr. up in the production area, making sure all the bells and whistles are working for your viewing pleasure. Here at North Wilkesboro, really tough, really old track. Zach, I expect to see a lot of bumping and banging tonight as we watch these guys battle it out as the playoff race gets closer and closer.
Yeah, it's getting down to that point of the season, Carl, and this is a tough track like you alluded to, and it's going to be a tough night for a lot of these competitors out here who are trying to squeak their way into that top 10 before the playoffs kick off. So it's going to be an interesting 140 laps here tonight. I think it's going to be a lot of guys trying to fight to keep the rear end of this car underneath them. I heard a lot of people fighting the rear end going into the corners and the rear end exiting these corners. So it's going to be a tough one here, but we'll see how they can manage most of the night.
And the four drivers that don't need to manage as hard are Mark Whitley, Jason Fensler, Cedric Connor, and Robert Rader, as they are already locked into the playoffs, but there are still 6 spots open with a couple of drivers on the bubble, such as the 27 of Ken Orlando Jr., 99 Dylan Walterman, James Catrone there in the 38, Nick Alves in the 24. And as we're already seeing on the closing seconds of this practice, that these drivers are really struggling to get the car under them and feeling secure in that and making sure that they don't spin out and just trying to survive, I think, will be the key. A battle of attrition, as we'll see tonight. Stages at 40 and 80, fuel shouldn't be an issue, but these tires are definitely going to fade away early.
Tires is going to be a big topic of discussion for sure all night long, trying to keep those underneath you, but will we get those long enough runs to see for sure? Is it's lap 40 there for that first stage, then lap 80 for the second stage. So it's one of those deals where we're not gonna have too crazy of a long runs, and with how many yellows we have here tonight, how long will they be? I mean, it's gonna be a tough racetrack. I expect to see that yellow flag waving a few times. It looks like we're gonna head off to qualifying here, Carl, to see how these drivers get it done here at North Wilkesboro, one of the I mean, technically the oldest track here on iRacing, since it's from 1987, technically.
Oh, definitely. And as you see, as we get prepared for qualifying in your lower right-hand corner, is a tribute for Owen Skelly. We hit on it last week. Owen Skelly is a friend of Parker Johnston, passed away tragically at a really, really young age. And they kind of renamed this race the Race for Awareness 140 in memory and tribute to Owen Skelly. And as you'll see some of these drivers driving around, you'll see a lot more purple on these drivers, either the cars themselves or maybe a badge on or above the wheel well, the fender. This is all a tribute for Owen, and all our thoughts are with the family and with the friends of Owen Skelly for this race dedicated to him tonight.
Indeed it is, Carl, and thoughts and prayers go out to the family there of Owen. And yeah, it's a night of remembering here for a few drivers out here, as they're definitely honoring him with the purple on the race car there for number 14. And like you said, Patrick Johnson also wearing the number 14 here tonight, which is Scott Kerberg's number. We got to give credit to Scott Kerberg there for giving up his number to Parker Johnston for, being able to honor his friend. So that's a great cause to see there as times begin to click in, man, here for this race here tonight. And we'll see who can start their way up near the front of the field. But right now, Ian Baker actually having the fastest time at the moment with an 18:98. And one thing that's tough is to get the right lap in. Mark Whitley goes to second on the board with a 19:004, and it's seeming like getting that lap that you need is really tough to find, as this car is just getting very, very upset on the tires on entry and on exit.
Oh, definitely. As we saw in practice, we're seeing now in qualifying even a lot of these drivers spinning out. I was watching Jason Fenzer just now do an out lap, and he was really slow, yanking on that wheel back and forth, trying to get whatever he in the tires, whatever grip he can get out of the track in the tires into there for his out lap. And it looks like it worked as he jumps to the top of the leaderboard with a 18.95. So that's going to be great for him. Track position at these short tracks is just so critical. And you mentioned these drivers are already struggling with the looseness of the car. So anyone in front will be able to, or at least hopefully avoid any of the carnage and chaos that will ensue further on in the back of this pack.
Yeah, it's you want to start up front. That's always the goal in Carl. And here tonight, especially at North Wilkesboro, a track that it can get a little bit crazy here at any point here, and you don't want to be caught up in the middle of that action. As we've seen how easy it is to wreck these guys on qualifying, it's only going to get tougher as those tires wear out. But right now, 3 minutes through our qualifying session, only 2 drivers yet to take time. That's Michael Simmons and Thomas Stanley, both not out on the racetrack. So right now, we got a silent racetrack out there while Jason Fizzler holds on to the top spot above James Loveland and Ian Baker in third. So great times being put down by that trio there to drop themselves in only 3 there into the 18-second bracket while we had a lot of drivers doing it in practice.
And I think it's dealing with warming up those tires and getting everything ready for that hot lap. Since track position is so important, you see it with this aerial view, quite beautiful facility they have. The track is extremely narrow, and there is very little room. If something were to happen in front of you, there is very little room to maneuver around. So track position, again, like you said, Zach, is going to be key in maintaining a clean car and hopefully finishing this race. I know a lot of the drivers were just hoping to finish, and at the conclusion of these 140 laps, we will see who is winning and who is left, really. So this is going to be really action-packed race here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this thing to kick off. We got less than a minute now before qualifying ends, and looks like everybody has took the checkered flag and has committed to not putting a lap down, other than Nick Alves in the 24, who does have 1 lap down, but he still has the second lap still to put down in that 24 machine. But he's just going to be sitting at the end of the pit road waiting the time out. So that means we're going to be waiting here for the next 30 seconds till we get our qualifying grid solidified. But man, Carl, a tough track indeed. And one of the things we'll be talking about all night long is I think 3 is going to be the place where it's the toughest for these drivers, just due to the fact the track is falling away from there. It's actually downhill down that back straightaway, heading off into 3. And when you step on that brake, when it's a downhill corner, that's usually when the rear end steps out from underneath you. While turn 1, a little bit more uphill entering 1, it's going to have a little bit more stability for braking. But man, it's still going to be tough to get off these exits. It's a treacherous track here, but it's going to be a treacherous 140 laps to see who can get it done.
Oh, definitely. And it's with getting on the brakes with how rough this track is, it is such a balancing act, really. You don't want to lock them up, but at the same time, you can't just sail into the corner and, roll up like you see in Darlington or any place like that. But they are gritting, and we are pulling up the lineup now for our freaky fast presentation. Of course, Jason Fensler topping out the list, followed by James Loveland, Ian Baker, Mark Whitley there in 4th, and then Earhart there in 5th. Ray Lane sitting there in the 6th position. Justice Murphy in 7th. We have Parker Johnston in 8th. Brandon Cawley in 9th. And then Blake Cook is there in the Ford machine, wrapping up the top 10.
The 11th place car is going to be the 99 of Dylan Walterman. On his outside, it's going to be Kevin Orlando Jr. starting in the 12th position. 13th is going to be the 24, Nick Alves. Eddie Wildermuth will be starting in the 14th position alongside him. 15th is going to be Jake Williams with the 84, Cody Dorsey, along the outside of him there in the 16th position. 17th is going to be the 21 of Christopher Heights, with 18th going to the 77 of Grant Thorne. 19th is going to go to James Catrone in the 38, and rounding out that top 20 is going to be Robert Rayner in the 53 machine.
In 21st, there is Scott Kerberg in the 42 instead of the 14, as we discussed as tribute. Jad Magner there in 22nd, the 15 car. Jacob Sirkovich in 3rd, in the 3 machine in 23rd, and Justin Stunnard in 24th. We have Thomas Stanley and Michael Simmons not running a time rounding out the field tonight, and a really interesting field. Dylan Walterman, Kevin Orlando Jr., Nick Alves, 11th, 12th, 13th. Those are all guys on the bubble for the playoffs. These guys, of course, they want to race for the win, but they're also racing each other. They don't need a win to get into the playoffs, but they just need more points than the other guys. So my eye is going to be definitely on those three cars, especially at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it all works out for them. Do remember they have one fast repair here at the Underdog Race League, so if something is say to happen here, it could be pretty, something for them to back themselves up with. It's not too detrimental here. If something does happen in the middle of the pack, you'll have that one fast repair to help you out. But I'll tell you what, nonetheless, it's still don't be using it this early, as stage one's gonna be on lap 40, stage 2 at lap 80. But man, oh man, Jason Fensler gonna be on pole alongside at 56 of Loveland. It's gonna be a battle between those two. We'll see what Baker and Whitley have behind.
And this is already a really short track. Lights out. They're coming into 3, going out of 4. 6/10, just over 6/10 of a mile that this track runs in distance. So looks like we're not quite ready to go yet, but these guys already willing to run. You see them weaving back and forth, trying to get heat in those tires, trying to warm up the track too. It's about 103 degrees track temp. It's not overly hot, not overly slick, but it isn't cool either. A lot of varying factors going into this. A slight breeze just to complicate matters on the handling of these cars. So already things looking to stack up. And here we are, ready to go again. Pace light again is out on the lights are out on the pace car, and as he makes that hard left turn into pit lane, we are getting ready to go green, and there is the green flag here at North Wilkesboro. Underdog Racing League turn 1. Jason Fensler is alone there in the first spot with James Loveland there hanging on to second on that outside lane as we see him dive down into that inside lane. It looks like maybe a car up on the track already is the preferred line. Zach, do you think that's going to change? Will the line move up, or will they be kind of stuck right there in that middle lane?
Well, 1 and 2, you're definitely going to be seeing them searching. They're going to be up high on entry, down low on exit. So they're going to be trying to navigate over the flat and bump parts of this racetrack. But down in 3 and 4, you're going to see most of them trying to elect to hang, stay right against the curb. But you'll also see multiple grooves here work. It can very well get to the point where we can see these guys up in the third lane, possibly trying to get the run off the corners. But at the moment, leader Jason Fensler electing to stay right around the bottom here of 3 and 4 and lead another lap here at North Wilkesboro.
And as you can see there, it looks like the top 5, 6, the top 10 or so cars, all single file already on lap 4. We are racing to lap 40 for the stage break in those so valuable stage points. So at least the front part of the pack getting organized, getting single file, feeling out the car, feeling out the track, making sure they can really get this car through for at least the 40 laps of this stage until we rack them up again at the very latest at that stage 40 restart. But definitely interesting to see how doesn't look like they're racing too hard right now, just trying to make sure that they keep the car under them and not lose it too early in the race.
Yeah, everybody doing a good job of keeping their cars straight, and that's the one thing we worried about is, how tough and how dangerous these cars got. But I'll tell you the one thing, we always talk about tire wear making handling conditions worse. But I always felt like here at this racetrack, if you start off at a short track, very very uncontrollable, the tire pressure started to come up as well. You'll see, I think James Patrone down there in the 38, I believe that is he may be slow there. Yeah, it is James Patrone there, slow on the back straightaway after a moment for him down in 1 and 2. So first, got to have a real big mistake here on the racetrack. But yeah, I personally feel like as those tire pressures begin to raise, the car becomes a lot better, more balanced, and much more preferable to drive. So I think it'll come to these guys as the run goes on, but it's just keeping it together for the first 40 here on the stage.
Oh, definitely. And lucky for James Catrone, he lost it, was able to get it into the inside grass there. Didn't cause a yellow, didn't wreck anyone else out. But he is one of those drivers on the bubble. He can definitely use a good finish and does not look like it's starting out good for him. But here we are. We're in 8th place with the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. and the 24 Nick Alves. The past couple laps, they have been switching back and forth, fighting for that 8th spot. So right now, Nick Alves falls to 10th even. So that last spot for stage points already becoming rare commodity as we see the 4 of Blake Cook running around there in 8th, just trying to get the car working for him. He had a really fast practice time, but didn't quite put that and transfer that into practice or qualifying. But as we see the 53 there, Robert Rader got really loose on corner eggs. You got to be so careful on the throttle on this track. Too much and you spin out, but if you don't throttle it enough, you just get past. So there's that fine line, Zach, that these drivers are going to have to balance on this entire race.
Yeah, and I've been watching Robert Rader actually the past few laps. I mean, he's drove from 20th all the way up to the 11th position. A heck of a drive from him there. And he is a little bit loose, though, from what I've seen. He is on the ragged edge, but that's the way you got to drive it here if you want to be able to make up the spots early to go. And he may be hurting those tires right now, but it'll be worth it for that track position when we come to that stage at lap 40. This 53, at some point, I see him contending for possibly a win at the end of this race. I mean, even right now, pretty comparable lap times to our leader, only a couple hundredths off here back in traffic. So we'll see what he can do once he gets farther up the grid, but Robert Rader is definitely going to be one to watch out for in the 53 up.
Definitely, and this is lap 14. We just concluded lap 14. The drivers wanted us tributes and spend that lap, kind of dedicate not just the race, but lap 14 especially for Owen Skelly. We see those 2 of those purple cars. That's the 9 Justice Murphy, again running the purple for Owen Skelly. That number 9 car had an EOL penalty, but looks like he's recovering somewhat decently. He's trying to get through the field, but again, the tributes for lap 14 to Owen Skelly with another car, purple car in front of him, a couple spots. I think that's the 77 of Brent Thorpe. So a lot of these guys in solidarity and in support of Owen Skelly and that family.
Yeah, definitely. Indeed, there as we check out the 14 of Parker Johnson, he's up actually 1 spot already and not too far off Brandon Colley in the 01 machine, who's got Ray Lane up ahead of him. So, you know, this little group here battling is getting pretty close here at the moment, only about 4 seconds back from our leader, Jason Fensler. But, yeah, got to say Parker Johnson looking good in the purple machine here tonight.
And what catches me, I'm going to go back to the 53 of Robert Rader. He won last week, started 20th with a really, really bad qualifying effort, but already up into the top 10. So he has wasted no time in passing cars. That car may be loose, but is definitely working to his advantage. He loves that loose car and being able to having to drive the car, making sure you have the right brake, right throttle marks, and everything else. Got to be smooth on the wheel, and he is definitely wheeling and dealing tonight. So we see him get a little loose there again, nearly tapping the outside wall, but keeps it straight and keeps it going for already halfway through this stage. So we're on lap 20 out of 40 for the stage. These guys ticking them off really, really quickly.
Yeah, pretty impressive. Almost a car every 2 laps for Raiders. He's actually going to get into the wall here down the back straightaway. And unfortunate for him, there a little bit of contact, but only a slight bit of damage. And this being a 0.63 of a mile racetrack, not going to be too much of a worry there for that 53 machine. Also, with these composite bodies very well getting fixed by his pit runner at next stop. But other than the watch out for Raiders, the 4 machine goes around. Blake Cook is in the infield grass. He's actually getting spun around right now and trying to get that thing back on. This may bring out a caution, and there it does. Caution is out on the racetrack. And man, oh man, Blake Cook here going around, coming off of turn 2 here, about 20 laps into and halfway through the stage.
And that's real unfortunate for Blake. He was up in a 9th position, looking really good for some stage points, and he just had to get another 20 or so laps in, and he just could not hang on to that car, as we see the 77 of Grant Thorpe there. And another purple car underneath of the frame. So, again, a lot of these drivers running that purple scheme for Owen, and it's good to see. But these guys, it's interesting to see that first start, the green flag. They really single filed out relatively quickly. I would say for the most part, the field was all strung out by lap 5, and this restart's going to bunch them all up. And we're going to have another go at it, and we've already seen a couple of cars battle looseness. And as we see already, a couple of cars on pit road looking for some tires and fuel, maybe using that strategy of the short track and seeing if they can't flip the stage and stay out in the next 16 laps when the stage does end.
Yeah, interesting call here. This is going to be 3 cars hitting pit road at the moment. So Mark Whitley, Kevin Orlando Jr., and Robert Rader in the 53. And Mark Whitley did take tires. I'm going to have to check out the other 2. It looks like Kevin Orlando did also. And also, I believe, the 53 of Rader, I believe he took tires too. So using a set of tires already. And we got 5 sets coming here tonight. So that's going to leave them with 3 left in pit road now. So that is going to be an interesting scenario for them the rest of this race. But, this is a short track. You can go very long on tires, and they're going to try to utilize those tires to drive through the field here to win the stage. It's just going to be a long way from the back, though, Carl.
Oh, definitely. But one person that this caution really benefited was James Catrone. After that spin earlier on, he is now again with the Lucky Dog on the lead lap and in contention with the race. And as I stated earlier, he is also on the bubble for the playoffs. So lucky break for him getting that caution when he did. But we see the 5 there weaving back and forth, trying to keep the tires warmed up, trying to keep those pressures up. You mentioned it, Zach, when those pressures comes up, they tend to handle a little bit better, and Jason likes the way it is, and he's trying to keep it that way. So how many strategies could you use on the track during a caution to maintain the pressures, maintain the heat, and have a better restart here in the next couple of laps?
Some guys do elect to do a little bit of what Jason Fizzler's doing there, wiggling the tires back and forth, trying to keep a little bit more heat in them. I'm personally on the opposite side of the fence. I kind of try to want to take the heat out of the car under these points of the race, especially if you're going to stay out on these older tires. They're already going to be pretty worn, and also the air pressure is going to be starting to build up at that point. If you can cool them down a little bit, naturally that air pressure will start to drop. And if you can get that to happen, your tires will come back to life just a little bit more. So, it's an interesting thing. Some guys like that fire-off ability, though. If you got a little bit more heat, it's going to fire off a little bit more quickly. But if you maybe have a little bit cooler tires, they'll last a little bit longer. So it's one of those give-and-take type of deals. But Jason Finsler went the other way. I got the other few guys went the complete opposite way of just being very smooth and just rolling around there. So we'll see how it works out here on this restart. But Finns are going to have Loveland here with Baker and Ray Lane right behind.
It's going to be another wild start. I guess the last one wasn't too wild, but this one, you never know. Pace car is on pit lane. Green flag in the air. Jason Fensler with a great launch, seeing that green flag, and he's going to go through turn 1 and 2 all alone. But behind him, they are side by side. James Loveland, Ian Baker. Baker on the inside of in that 8 car, as you see there, with James Loveland kind of stuck on the outside. And like you said, Zach, earlier, these guys are really trying to hug that inside line for the most part, trying to make the track shorter. And as we see the mess behind Ian, we see the 44 Bray Lane, Brandon Colley, the 01 right behind him. This is a little bit more intense than the last start that we saw. These guys know what they're racing. Oh, as we see possibly a little bit of contact between the 44 and the 01. So these guys already knowing each other and just trying to do whatever they can to get that inside line and get that spot.
Yeah, this is some wild action going on for sure as we're watching back from the back deck lid here of the second place car, the third place car. But man, I'll tell you what, those new tires is what I've kept my eye a little bit on. Mark Whitley, Robert Rader back here around the 16th position. These two have been taking chances indeed, and it's getting a little bit squirrely back here. As you also got Christopher Heights right in front of them in that 21 machine, also Jacob Sekerovich. So it's a big group of drivers here, but look at this, Rader and Whitley going to try to split here for the position down the front straightaway.
And that is such a dangerous position to put a driver in that has old tires. You're just trying to survive. Oh, and as we see the 21 of Christopher Heights get a little loose down in the corner exit, but it looks like he might have saved it. We stay green for now as we see these cars trying to dice their way through traffic, but staying with each other at the same time. They don't want to let each other get out of their own sights, but looks like the 6 is going to make the move, and the 52 is going to be stuck behind a slower car a little bit longer. But Personally, I think it's a great call. If they can just keep their cars clean, they probably won't pit here at this stage because they went green with only 10 laps to go. So they should be able to make it to the end of stage 2 with fuel and tires. And then on top of that, have the track position to run in that second stage. So a lot of these guys starting on lap 20, strategy coming into play as we see the 25 get loose, go around into the outside wall, and that will bring out our second caution of the day at lap 35. So already chaos here at North Wilkesboro. This is going to be really interesting to see them fire off for this possible the end of the stage.
Yeah, and that's just gonna be Trevor Earhart going around there, solo spin down in 3 and 4, backing it into the wall here for the second caution of the night. And yeah, this is interesting here, Carl. I believe this should possibly end our stage here. This makes it even better for the group that took tires already, because they will cycle to the front here if the rest of the pack here pits. We'll have to see what exactly happens. I believe it'll be the stage if they pit. Yeah, they're all coming down here, I believe. So yeah, that must be the end of stage number 1.
Yeah, probably. It took about 5 laps to get all racked up again after the last incident. So this will probably be the stage, but we won't know until it actually ends here at lap 40. But we'll see how the admins want to handle this. But man, look at all those cars. This is a really, really tight pit box. You do not want to make any mistakes. You don't want to have a pass through after speeding or anything like that. And just as we spoke, the 6 of Mark Whitley and the 53 of Robert Rader out in front with getting tires and fuel a little earlier on the last caution. So these guys already thinking ahead with the third car out there. I can't quite see that, but looks like maybe not Ian Baker, but these guys already thinking about the end game.
Yeah, a little bit of in-game strategy for sure. And this is the one thing I did have concern with the strategy being played of this group up here: Mark Whitley, Robert Rader, and Kevin Orlando Jr. It was only those 3 who initially pitted, and it was a few other guys who came down after that. I think were just getting some damage repairs. But these 3 initially came down, got the tires, and like you said, I think they were going to stay out at that stage. That was the goal. But at the same time, here now, they are at a major disadvantage. And the thing is, if a lot of drivers would have done this strategy with them, it'll work out a lot better, because they only have, especially for Mark Whitley, he's only got 2 cars separating him and Jason Fensler. And there's going to be a considerable little difference here on the tires. So we'll see how well Fensler and them can fire off. But I tell you what, Rader, Whitley, and Orlando Jr. are going to have a lot of work cut out for them here, as they're going to have a lot of drivers trying to make up spots here and trying to get everything before we get to that next stage, or lap 80.
One thing that I can say that may be in their favor is they have a couple laps on those tires. Those tires are a little warmed up, and they have a little bit of extra pressure than freshies. So it's going to be really fun to watch Jason Fensler especially try and fire off with the restarts he's gotten. Before that caution came out, Jason Fensler was already a second ahead of the field. So these guys are going to have a different challenge ahead of them. And as we rack up, this is lap 40. So yeah, that should bring the stage end. So you see the top 10, Whitley, Rader, Orlando, Fensler, Loveland, Baker, Colley, Lane, Johnston, and Grant Thorpe all getting those valuable stage points. But hats off to Robert Rader, as he went from 20th to now in second on this restart. Really our highest mover of the race, really, because of a really bad qualifying session. But there goes the pace car. The green flag is out, and Whitley does not waste any time. He launches from that inside line, and right now the 53 of Robert Rader under attack from the 5 almost immediately. So we saw Robert Rader take some really risky and aggressive moves trying to weave through traffic earlier. Will he take those same moves to try and defend Fensler and keep him behind him before those new tires take over?
Yeah, I think he's going to try everything in his power here, of course, but I think the tires, once these get a little bit of heat in them for Fensler, it's going to be pretty much his game to do this here. As he now goes to the inside, looking here in 3 and 4, and he's going to try to get this move done here on the new set of tires. But Rader going to fight back strong on the outside. This outside lane very strong here at North Wilkesboro. Almost contact between Fensler and Rader there as he entered the corner. This is going to get a little tough as Rader slides. They make contact, somehow do not wreck. Man, that could have been detrimental. I don't know how Fensler did not turn straight head first into the wall.
that was spectacular wheelmanship there. Both of them lost it. Our Raider lost it, kind of got into Fensler there, and just both of them were able to keep it steady. But look at the backup it caused behind them. All these guys had to check up. They are side by side, 3 rows deep. We see the 77, we see the 1401 of Brendan Colley, the 44 of Ray Lane. We saw a bunch together, but again, another caution on the track. This is our 3rd caution today. And these guys, a lot of short runs, and it's a short track, so it's definitely holding up to the hype. And these guys just not being able to get around the track as easy as they definitely want. And Jason Fensler, with that issue of between him and the 53, is still there in 2nd place. So looks like he's going to get a little better starting position when the green flag drops.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure to see how that plays out. But it looks like that was the 3 of Jacob Sekovich there, all by him alone, spinning off of the exit of turn 2 down into the inside wall. So unfortunate there for the 3 machine. That's what brings out the caution this time around. But man, Carl, we're already past that stage 1 marker. Whitley now in control of the lead, but he's going to have Jason Fensler with the new set of tires alongside him. But we did see Fensler catch a little bit of rear damage there from hitting the wall, saving that thing. Fortunately enough, he didn't hit the front end, but sometimes hitting the rear end like that can cause some issues there. It looks like Catrone there in the 38. Looks like he'll go by and get a lap back to put him 3 laps down. But we'll see how Fensler does with the damage. I know that Raider caught a little bit of left front damage after already getting right front damage early in this race, so a little more damage on the 53 machine. But this is an interesting situation here. These cautions are helping the drivers that took tires earlier. All these cooldown phases bringing it right back into their ballpark.
Well, not only that, but the 53, after having a really near miss earlier, is able to gather it back up, get his breath back, and just calm down and refocus. He's now behind the leader, Mark Whitley. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Mark Whitley and Jason Fensler fire off, because we've seen just launch out of a cannon on these restarts. But as these guys get back together, we got to give a shout out to ButtKicker. Game deserves a truly immersive experience. The ButtKicker Gamer 2 lets you feel every detail, from subtle footsteps to the rumble of a V10 powered race car, from ambient environmental effects to the power of a nearby explosion. It moves a physical mass instead of only air like a traditional speaker, so the Gamer 2 provides an instant, accurate, powerful bass response. And better of all, it's all perfectly in sync with every game, no additional software required. ButtKicker, if you go put in the discount code FreakyFast20 for 20% off your entire order. And a little insider information, they just came out with some haptic software. I know they were having some issues separating games, so they've just come out with their own software to control the haptic and give you a little more immersive ability into some of these games, and iRacing especially. So go ahead and check them out at ButtKicker. So Zach, here we are. We're getting lined up again. We have 30 laps to go until the stage, which ends at 80. So these guys, we mentioned already tire strategy, but fuel strategy, you think anyone's going to want to try and stretch it out as we see the green flag drop, or do you think they're just going to go and tires are going to be more of a key than fuel?
I think tires are going to be more key than fuel. I think fuel they're not going to have to worry about, especially with these caution laps, and just due to the fact that it's a 0.63 of a mile racetrack. You can go pretty far even on the 60% fuel load. Should have no problems going the distance that these drivers have pitted from. So everybody should be good on fuel to make it to lap 80. But from there from lap 80 to 140, they should possibly even be able to make that. So we'll see how it all works out. But right now, watching some good battles here between the purple cars.
And these guys really hammering it out between them. We see that outside line trying to get a little bit more drive. But in front of these guys, it's the 44 and the 27 really battling it out. And as I say, that looks like the 44 is going to make the pass for fifth, that looks like. So the 27, the last of those cars to take those tires at that first caution, he's fallen back just a little bit further than the others of Robert Raider in 53 and Mark Whitley, which Mark Whitley remains in the lead, but not by much. Jason Fensler is on to that rear bumper, hunting him down, and no, that was near contact up there as Fensler had to take that outside line. But this, as we see the 27, he's just falling back on those old tires. He just cannot get the line, cannot get the grip that he's looking for. He started a couple cautions ago in third, and now he has fallen all the way back to sixth. So right now, as we see the 0-1 of Brandon Colley get a little squirrely there on corner exit, it's going to be a matter of survival for the 27, hoping he can stay in the top 10 for those playoff points that he needs so desperately to keep him on, or maybe get him above that bubble. But again, we see him getting passed again by the 0-1 of Brandon Colley, so those old tires not doing that 27 any favors.
They're definitely not, and almost into the back bumper there, the 0-1, and Brandon Colley made that move, got a little loose, had to make it stick again, but yeah, definitely tough going there for Orlando Jr., who's falling back to Parker Johnston now in the 14, who's going to try to make a move. But yeah, Raider and Whitley have held station from where they have restarted first and third, just showing how strong those two here are once they get a little track position.
But looking at them, they're both under attack by the cars behind them. 53 has the 8 hot on his bumper, looking to make a pass. And as we saw, the 5 on the bumper of the 6 trying to make a pass. So these guys not giving any inch. And the really close racing here as we see the 14 of Parker Johnson trying to make a pass on the 27, but just can't make it happen. We see that low line, just that short way around the track is really helping these guys with the old tires. But don't look, now the 5 is at the bumper of the 6 for the lead, coming out of turn 4. The 5 just trying as hard as he can to get around. He dips his nose down to the inside, but cannot keep the momentum as we have another caution on the track here at lap 59, only about 22 laps away from the stage. So Zach, here we go again. Will this replay? Will we have more drivers undercut the stage, or are we going to see a little bit different strategies as we see some of these older tires actually be able to prevail on these restarts, with Jason Fencer not being able to make it around the 6 before that caution came out, in the 53 solidly in third. So I got to be thinking how these guys are going to drive their cars and drive the track from here on out.
Yeah, it's got to be a big question in a lot of these guys' minds of what they want to do now. They could hit pit road, but they're not electing to do it right now. Looks like some will. Looks like the first driver in, that's Grant Thorpe and Justin Stunnard. Those two are going to come down pit road, get service done on their race cars. But yeah, Jake Williams was the driver that went around in the 40 machine to bring out that caution. Looks like most of the drivers going to stay out here, but yeah, I mean, this is just shaping up for Mark Whitley. I mean, Mark Whitley's got to love what he's seeing here. This is really setting him up for a really good run down to the end. And we'll see this time does anybody come down there, or was pit road closed last time? We'll have to see, because it looks like a few more guys positioning themselves there. But no, it looks like just the lap car Jake Williams is going to come down here to pit road, and the majority of our front leaders going to stay out.
And Mark Whitley, I don't think he has won since Watkins Glen. So I guess a very short dry spell. He's only been a couple of races since he has been in the winner's circle. But we have talked to him in the top 3 at the end of the race. So he is definitely looking to get back on track. And Jason Fenzer suffering another heartbreak at Nashville Super Speedway last week. He led the most laps, had the fastest lap, but just could not make the pit strategy work for him, as Robert Rader was able to squeak by a win. So the 5 looking to kind of recover and come back to his former dominance we are so used to seeing him have anytime he steps on the track, really. So these guys racing really hard, not only for pride but for points. All 3 of these drivers, in fact, are locked into the playoffs, so points aren't as much of a factor it is for the rest of the field. These guys just want to get as many playoff points and bonus points for the playoffs as they can before the playoff run begins.
Yeah, this is just setting it up for a few guys for sure. This is getting out to the point of the season where they know they feel pretty confident, but another group of drivers definitely do not. But yeah, this is Jason Fensler, man. You got to think he's getting frustrated now, because he has had some dominant performance this season, but just hasn't been able to finish a few of them off. I feel like he should at least have 2 to 3 more wins in his back pocket, but man, just has not been able to get to the end in that lead. At some point, it seems like he gives up track position and it just never gets back there. Right now, back up the second, but again, trying to get around that number 6 machine, who's just been one up on the 5 here for a little bit, a majority of this season.
And And it looks like they are racked up and good to go. We're going to go green here at lap 65. We're going to have 16 laps before the end of the stage at lap 80. So Jason Flenser, if he's going to do something and attack the 6 with those old tires, he's got to do it now. But the 6 gets an amazing launch again on that inside line, takes solo into turn number 1, as does Jason Fenzer, dropping down in front of the 53 of Robert Rader. But Robert Rader under attack by the 8 of Ian Baker to the outside, and behind him there 2x2 as well. We have 44 of Ray Lane on the inside, being under attack by the 01 of Brandon Colley. We've seen Brandon Colley get a little loose and get a little out of shape on some of these corners, but he's been able to keep it under him, keep the car straight, and just keep himself out of other people's way. So he's just trying to get back to where he was. But we see the 8 now falling back to those old tires of the 53 by just a little bit, but not quite giving up. And we see the gap forming between the 5 and the 53 get a little bit larger, as we see the pack also behind him condense, and it looks not allowing these guys to get past, so it's really slowing the rest of the field up, and they are still looks like 5 laps later, 4 laps later, side by side. So this is some really exciting racing as we see the 53 get out of shape, and it checks up the rest of the field, but he's able to keep it going.
Keeps it going. Indeed, he does his back to forth, but this is going to be 3 wide now. Johnston in the middle, and up top it's Ray Lane. Brandon Colley going to take advantage of that to slide up to the 5th position, but Ray Lane trying to get back to the outside of the 01, but the 01's going to have the 53 up ahead of him. This is a little bit of a logjam moment here. So you also got Justice Murphy in the 9 working his way up in the picture, almost getting to the outside of the 14.
And not to look, but these the front 2 cars of Whitley and Fensler are just increasing that gap more and more. Ian Baker is free of the rest of the pack, so he's just kind of bounced out of his second behind the leaders, but everyone else jostling for position. We see those purple cars just running next to each other, running really hard. It looks like Grant Thorpe and maybe Parker Johnson there in the 14. That's like some 6th and 7th possibly, but Ray Lane really doing well. Started 6th, running 6th, just being really stable right now, and he is a model of consistencies we've seen. Tends to make mistakes later in the run, but if you want anyone to watch for at least consistency, the 44 would be the one to do it.
Yeah, I'd expect him to be able to fight back here with the 01 of Brandon Colley. It looks like those two have been around each other for the majority of the day, but Brandon Colley there with the newer tires trying his best to work his way around Raider, who's right on the back deck lid of that 01. But man, I gotta give credit even to Mark Whitley here. I think he's gonna be able to survive with this lead all the way down to the stage, and he's gonna be one-upping Fensler here with this. I mean, it's gonna put him ahead when they all come down pit road. It's gonna cycle everybody back on even tires, and that's gonna be just exactly why Mark Whitley played that strategy. I've seen him do this multiple times in multiple different leagues, and it's worked well for him. But oh man, Brandon Colley in the 01 almost into the back of the 53 has to check up. That lets Ray Lane here get a little bit of run. Ray Lane trying to make something happen here as they head down the back straightaway.
Oh, and let's crank it up as we ride along with the 01 on board and see him wheel and deal his way around this track as he's trying to chase down the old tires of the 53. So again, let's crank it up. This Crank It Up brought to you by ButtKicker. Again, that was Crank It Up by ButtKicker. We were watching the 01 try and get back up to the bumper of the 53, and then the caution came out for incident. And this will probably be the stage break with how it fell. We saw it happen in the last stage. So with the timing of all this, everyone coming down, getting tires, looks like everyone's going to reset for now for the most part. So we have a whole other race on our hands after this because everyone's going to be on fresh tires, fresh pressures, and not going to be worrying too much about what's behind them. And the only thing you got to do here is you cannot make mistakes on pit road. We've seen it earlier. Some of our higher up, more talented drivers, as it were, have those penalties and those speeding penalties. But man, look at that. That was really interesting. The 5 getting out in front of the 6. It's a great move for the 5 taking the lead on pit road.
Yeah, it definitely was a good job there, and that caution there was brought out by the 25 Trevor Earhart. Contact actually between him and Jacob Septovich. So first time for contact tonight, we've seen a yellow, but those two going around side by side, and it's going to put them on pit road. But yeah, a great job there by Jason Fensler winning the race off pit road, but I believe Mark Whitley going to be the winner of that stage. So they flip-flop stages there for him, but man, oh man, this is setting up to be some type of an interesting finish to this race, Carl.
Oh, definitely not. Well, while they get all racked up, it does. I think Dylan Walterman either took 2 tires or did something different to leapfrog the other 2 leaders. While they get racked up, we got to give a shout out to Advanced Sim Racing. They were founded in 2020, and it is the fastest growing North American racing simulation chassis manufacturer and digital motorsports equipment retailer. They are owned and operated by passionate sim racers like you and me. The company designs and builds the sturdiest, most durable aluminum profile racing sim cockpits available on the market today. They source premium grade materials from trusted vendors in the United States and Canada and can offer high quality rigs without any weak points, and most importantly, zero flex. So go ahead, check them out. Put in the discount code FreakyFast5, all spelled out, to get 5% off your entire order at Advanced Sim Racing. So here we are, Zach. We are a little more than 2/3 of the race over. The first 2 stages are done with. We have 60 laps until the end, and the field has gone through a major shakeup. As we see Justin Stunnard, we saw him take tires the last caution. We see Ray Lane up there. Dylan Walterman leading the race in the 99, so these guys are really mixing the field up with the strategy and hoping it works. But again, there's the 5 and the 6 right there, not very far back in the pack right now. So, looks like it bunches up that inside line just a little bit. Dylan Walterman did not get a great start, but he goes into turn 1 side by side with Justin Stunnard. And has to really let up there. 44 had to be careful not to rear end him, but the 33 of Justin Stunnard making a move and making the pass for that first position. But don't look now, that fast 5 car behind him is trying to make moves as well. So this really working hard, and Justin Stunnard enjoying the lead for a rare time as we see the 5 get down into the 99. The 99 hits the inside wall, and that is probably going to cause another caution. Oh, man, and that just goes to prove, Zach, that's how tight it gets on corner exit here at North Wilkesboro.
Yeah, we've seen that one there live for sure, Carl. And, it looks like the 99 just got a little bit tight, washing up into the 5. I don't know if he noticed that the 5 was inside of the 33 right there, and it got a little bit closer on exit than I think the 99 was expecting, and that was just contacting to the side of the door of the 5 that sent him around, and that's going to be the 6th caution of the night. And man, they're stacking up now, but Walterman, him and Stunnard had pit at lap 60 there. They got the track position now, 1 out of the way, but Stunnard done a great job there to hold on to what he can. If he can go long enough to hold on to some decent track position, we get a few cautions. We could see these guys coming back down for another set of tires here if we get a decent enough run. So we'll see what Stunnard can do, but right now I'll hold to that top spot.
And the 5 car, where he wants to be, in that 2nd position, side by side with the leader. We know he is great on the restarts. The Dylan Walterman looks like he either spun or just didn't get on the throttle like he wanted to, causing that whole inside line to check up. But the 33 of Stunnard is now going to be that control car. Will he have the same issues as Walterman, or will he actually have a nice, smooth restart? That's going to be key here at this short track in maintaining track position, especially with the drivers such as Jason Fensler right next to him.
Yeah, and these two, I'm pretty sure, are teammates. So it's I think they'll be pretty cordial with each other here, and Fensler's going to try to probably get the lead pretty quickly. And biggest thing for Fensler, he's got to look at back in 6 is Mark Whitley. He lost out big time in all that picture. I mean, you've seen Brandon Colley, Ray Lane, Ian Baker, all these drivers jump in front of him there on that restart. and Mark Whitley's now looking like he's back in the 6th position while Jason Fields up in 2nd. That's changed the whole aspect of this race, and I tell you what, it's gonna be a fun time to see what Mark Whitley can do if he can get back to him, because he was looking strong even with the older tires compared to the 5. So I'm very much interested to see if that will be able for him to do in that 6 machine, is get that track position back and fight for this.
Well, Mark Whitley was stuck in that inside line, third car back on that little a rough restart for the 99 and Dylan Walterman. So now he's going to be on the outside, and Center more likely is going to take that inside line, just the preferred line around this track, and Jason Fensler is going to be on that outside. So we know Jason gets off really well on these restarts. He's just going to have Mark Whitley's just going to have to get around that 44 in front of him, and he might just have a shot to keep the 5 within reach for these next 50 laps, as we see ticking away there. Lap 88 out of 140, stage 3 of the Underdog Racing League, and we see them getting us side by side again. The lights are off on the pace car, so getting ready for one of these wild restarts. And the further we go along and the more cautions we get, the more wild these restarts are going to get, as all these drivers start jostling for position for the end of the race. Everyone wants to win, but we will see who will win it in about 53 laps. But here we go, green flag. Justin Stunner takes the inside line, a decent start, but the 5 with another great start on his own on that outside line is staying neck and neck, and he decides to launch out there, taking that position, but almost 3 wide behind him. So we see the 8 of Ian Baker trying to make a move, but there is Ray Lane on the outside. We see the 6 there behind him. That's 8 of Ian Baker. 01 of Brandon Colley. We've seen him kind of give the bumper to a couple of guys. We see him get loose, so the 01, a really aggressive driver right now. We see if he uses that bumper some more, and maybe he does the old bump and run to that 8 of Ian Baker without causing too much of an issue with the cars behind him.
Yeah, and I thought Stunner was going to be in trouble there for a moment, but he got back up to the top now. He's holding station here in 2nd. Ray Lane up top. Here goes Ian Baker down low. We'll see what Stunner can do, but it's going to be 3 wide here. Stunner washes wide. Lane's going to cut to the inside here and possibly going to have to back out of this situation, as Brandon Colley does. He's the one that backs out actually there. That lets Rader get to his outside. This is a tough situation here. Here comes Mark Whitley up top. Everybody trying to find every little bit of speed, but Stunner, the cork in the bottle right now, holding everybody up.
And as you just saw there, the 44 get a little loose on that corner exit there. I don't know if it was due to a little bit of pressure applied by the 01 or what, but these guys raced really hard. Ian Baker with another great seat there, being able to run away with the 2nd spot as everyone else is stuck behind them. But Justin Stunner is out to a 1.1 second lead already, and this is only about 5 laps into the run. The lap 94 out of 140, so these guys are running really hard, really fast. Oh, as we see the 8 get a little squirrely there, but the 44 right behind him looking to take advantage. And then the 01 of Brandon Colley, but looks like the caution is out again for incident. So we will rack them back up, and we will see another one of these action-packed restarts. This is getting a little dicey with some of these drivers. I can just sense the intensity and some of the aggravation increasing in some of these guys.
Yeah, we had a big moment too. I'm not sure exactly what that yellow was for. I believe Cody Dorsey in the 84. I believe that was the 84 that went around. But I tell you, the big thing that I seen was the battle for about 3rd. It was Justin Stunner, Mark Whitley, 3 wide coming off of 2. They make contact, and it was heavy into the wall for Justin Stunner. Same for Mark Whitley. Both those drivers getting heavy damage, and Stunner lost out the most from it. But man, both of them getting heavy damage from that incident, and that's going to set Whitley back all the way to the 5th position. And I tell you what, definitely going to be a tough deal for him, but it's been some wild aggressive racing there with different sets of strategies with tires.
You know, the only saving grace that some of these guys have is it's a short course. Aerodynamics isn't going to mean as much here. You can beat and bang, you can get a couple of dents without it affecting your car's speed or handling that much, but you got to be careful. Lap 97, we still have 44 laps to go in this race. It's still quite a bit of distance to go. You don't want to ruffle the feathers too much right now, especially yeah, you're up front, but it's not the end of the race yet. So you don't want to wreck a guy for the lead when there's still 40 laps to go. But these guys pushing it to the very limit here tonight.
Yeah, the sense of urgency was turned up to 11 there when it probably needed to be about a 6 or a 7, I would say, a little bit too much urgency from some of the drivers on new tires. They're trying to make moves, and with the trends we've seen tonight, you should expect a caution, I would say. So, got to be patient here, methodically work your way through and try to get those positions. But that just shows you what happens when hard racing at short tracks. There's bound to be collisions, and it happens right at the front, the back, everywhere really on a track like North Wilkesboro. And I tell you what, the two drivers that stayed out the time before, Dylan Wallstrom and Justice Thunder, those were the two that came down. I do believe Dylan Wallstrom did not take tires. He just actually got some damage fixed, but Justice Thunder, new set of tires, he took a fast repair. So a clean 33 after that contact with Mark Whitley. He may be trying to drive his way back through the field.
And this is the time where you can use that fast repair. You're past halfway. You're in the closing about quarter of the race, and you know that it's a make or break right now. Checkers or wreckers, as they say. So it's a great time to use that fast repair, but you've got to be a little more careful. Starting at the back, we've seen a couple of issues with drivers getting loose and causing the rest of the field to check up. You don't want to get caught in that or be the cause of that. So these guys definitely have a lot on their plates as we go through turn 4. Lights on the pace car are out again for a 7th restart of the race, and here we go. Green flag is out, and we see Jason Fensler launch again off from that outside lane this time, as we haven't seen him do so far in this race. But there's the 0-1 of Brandon Colley fighting the outside of the 8 of Ian Baker, and he looks like he's going to make a strong pass from the outside.
Yeah, Brandon Colley's slowly been making his way up track position wise here, but Baker trying to make the big move, make it stick, but gets a little bit loose coming out of the corner, has to check up. That lets Brandon Colley get back to the outside here, heading down the 1. We'll see what he can do coming off of turn 2. Looks like Brandon Colley has got the drive, but back behind, there's a big stack up around the back of this field, around Justice Third to the 33. It looks like possibly the 26, Eddie Wilder, with the 3 of Jacob Sekovich back here in the pack, all sliding through the corner as you'll see him coming off of turn 4 now. It's a group of purple cars that did. That group is it's been mayhem here for a lot of drivers as Justice Third trying to drive through the field.
Oh, look at this, the 53 Robert Rader trying to creep his way back up to the field, getting up to the bumper of the 6 of Mark Whitley there. So that'll be for 5th and 6th. These guys driving hard, but right there behind him in 7th, there is really, really hard battle between Kip Orlando Jr. and Justice Murphy. And it looks like Justice Murphy's going to edge out the 27 going into turn 3, and the 27 not quite done with him yet, trying to do the crossover move and get that exit drive off, and just can't quite do it. And here we are, the 8th caution of the race again for incidents. These guys, the front of the field seems to be doing okay. It's just the back half of the field is having issues with all that dirty air, all the checkups happening. We see some cars get underneath other cars on corner exit and get squirrely. They can't stretch their legs on corner exit, and we see a lot of these leaders start to pit. We see the 6, the 44, the 53. So with 35 laps to go here in the race, strategy picking up, and pit road not too incredibly busy. Looks about half the field is going to pit, but the leader, Jason Fensler, not pitting this time around.
This situation here, Carl, has got me actually interested, because this is going to play out, I think, very well for this group of drivers here. I think this could have been the last time you want to pit here for the night. Short track, 35 laps, what we're about to come up to right here when we cross the line to go. I mean, man, that is not a long time. It's an 18-second to 19-second lap here. That happens so quickly, and I think we're going to see a few more cautions. And these guys up front, they may have finally elected pit, but I don't know. I mean, at this point, I feel like you got to stay out. I mean, the group that just pit there, they're going to be looking to be back around in the 15th position here. If everybody just, held their ground and stayed out here, it would work out possibly for them here if it stays green. Well, I think we're going to get some cautions that's going to bring it all back together. And this is a pretty wide separation in the tire gap. These guys pit last on 70, lap 77. This group here on 104. So, I mean, you're looking at almost a 30-lap difference there. It's definitely an interesting scenario we got playing out here on this 8th caution.
And this is going to be huge. And I agree with you there, Zach. We are going to have more cautions. Whether or not it's a huge incident or maybe just someone spinning out, there's going to be more cautions. And those drivers with the freshest tires, they're going to be able to move through the pack the easiest. They're going to be able to pounce and take 2-3 spots on these restarts. And we're going to be able to watch it here and now on this restart here in the next couple of laps and see how those tires really do. But looks like Mark Whitley, he was in fifth, I think. He is way down there in the back half of the pack, so he's definitely going to have his work cut out from the same thing. Robert Rader is stuck back there, so these guys not quite where they want to be. I think they were expecting a couple more drivers to pit with them, but not the case at the moment. But as we see them getting side by side, ready for another restart here at the track of North Wilkesboro. These guys going really, really bonkers on these restarts. And there goes the pace car, and the green flag is out. The 5, Jason Fenzer, launching again from the inside line with the 0-1 of Brandon Colley behind him. We've been talking about Brandon Colley all day long. It seems like he's been in the top 5 for the most part. Now he's in second position. We have to see what he can do to get past that 5 machine of Jason Fenzer, as we see the 8 almost get to the bumper there in turn 3.
Yeah, Ian Baker very close to the rear bumpers. It kind of checked up there a little bit, but now Justice Murphy up into the top 5 there in the 9th position. Also Grant Thorpe, he's up to the 5th position. As we got a bunch of shades of purple up here. We got the 9 machine, we got the 77, we got the 4, and you know, all of those tribute cars there, and the 24 Nick Alves also. So all of those great there, and all of them, you know, running the purple there for Owens.
And that's just great to see, you know, being here towards the end of the race, being up front, getting the camera time, getting the race time towards the lead. It's just great to see for this tribute race for Owen. But it's really fun to watch some of these other drivers with the newer tires trying to work their way through the field. We see the 44 of Ray Lane. He's trying to get around the 21 of Christopher Heights. 53, Robert Rader, another one of those drivers with new tires now, trying to take the inside. But we have this quirk of the 21 just halting all of these drivers, and you see the 53 just can't quite get there, and we're going to make it 3 wide. Robert Rader there in the middle. Oh, and we see a car get swirly. Oh, looks like the 53 just going to barely squeeze through, but this is a massive incident there on the backstretch. That was just a couple of cars getting together and knocking the other one aside. We are on our 9th caution of the night here with 114 laps complete. So we are going to have 25 more laps after this lap. So we're going to go green with about another 20 laps to go. And that's what we've been doing. We've seen 5, 10, 20 lap stints, but I think the longest stints are behind us. That was earlier in the race. We haven't gotten much longer than really 5 laps before another caution comes out. So we see these tribute cars come in for some more tires and repairs.
Man, oh man, Carl, I don't know how some of those drivers made it through that wreck. I mean, the 6 of Mark Whitley, he narrowly escapes. The same with the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. They narrowly escape along with Robert Rader. I mean, just some great driving there by a few guys on the back trailer, but it was a parking lot there for a while. But now Jason Finsler, Brandon Colley, Ian Baker, the last driver still yet to pit, and this puts them in a tough scenario because there's only 3 of them. If they pit, say after another caution here, they're going to have very few laps left in this race to get back to their positions, but also very little difference in the tires and a huge amount of track position loss due to the factor we just seen half of the other group of drivers that was with them that had stayed out. They all hit pit road there, so it changed the whole scenario. Now Jason Finsler, Brandon Colley, and Ian Baker almost sitting ducks here with the new tires directly behind.
Oh, definitely. And if you haven't pit now, it's too late to pit. The majority of the field already has fresh tires, and at this point, you just got to run what you have. But in there in 4th, that's a 53 of Robert Rader. We were watching him as that car spun out. He's another one of those drivers that I don't know how he got through that, but he did. And I think he is the first car up there on those fresh sets of tires, and he's going to be there in 2nd the second row outside. So this is going to be really, really interesting to watch and see. We saw him hunt down the 5 last week on Pit Strategy. Are we going to see a repeat this week? This is going to be really fun to watch with about 24 laps to go from here. Again, we're going to go green with about 20 laps left in this race. So we're setting up for about a 20-lap sprint to finish this out, and tires have become the talking point. We're going to see how well those new tires, or how well the old tires, can hold off the new tires.
Yeah, I definitely think that is the talking point. I mean, we've seen it happen for majority of the night, and we haven't had no crazy amount of green flag laps. But man, I just feel like those new tires are going to be so well used by Robert Raider here. He's going to be the first one on that fresh set there. 104 is the last time he pitted. 77 for our front three of Jason Finsler, Brandon Colley, and Ian Baker. So we'll see how it works out for our top three. They've elected to stick to the old tires. They are running well there by themselves. We'll see how they can shake it out here now once we get this going back there.
Oh, definitely. We've seen the 53 be aggressive. The 01's a little aggressive too, so this is going to be really fun to watch. But there is the 5 getting off, taking that really low line to launch off in turn 4. The 8 and the 01 side by side. It looks like the 8's going to kind of drive up the track just a little bit. The 01 sticking strong with them though, but the 53 just wants to get through these guys and make those tires work. Doesn't want to let the 5 get too far out in front of him. The 53 thought about making it 3 wide there, but decided against it. He's going to take a little bit more time to see if he can't make another move. But there's, we see the 01 just inch in front of the 8 car of Ian Baker. There's the 53 getting right up to the bumper of the 8 as well, trying to make a pass on the 8 for the 3rd position.
Great job by Brandon Colley to clear there, but Ian Baker now trying to hold off the fresh tires as Jason Finsler tries to run away. Raider not able to do nothing yet. He's been able to have the outside line, but Baker's been very good and very great about running the bottom lane. But I think Raider this time coming off the corner a little bit too loose, can't hold it. Ian Baker holds station. Now here we go to the bottom lane. It's going to be the 53 trying to take it down low on the 8 machine, and you're going to see Mark Whitley there directly behind, also on the fresh set of tires. These two are going to be the ones trying to charge up through. But Brandon Colley, Jason Finsler, they're open. Ian Baker can just hold this group off as they're trying to drive away.
And look at that, the 53 of Robert Raider not letting those tires work from. But again, here we go. 10th caution on lap 123. We are 18 laps away from the end of this race. And there is another caution. Zach, you may have to refresh my memory, but I think this is the most cautions we've had in a race this season. We were up there 8 and 9 earlier, but this is something different. These guys are really struggling out there, just trying to keep the car straight and keep it on the track. And the leaders haven't had that much of an issue. It's the dirty air in the back. So as we rack them up, we're going to have another restart with Robert Raider there in 4th. But right behind him, there's the 6th of Mark Whitley. We saw what he can do on older tires. So this restart coming up is going to be another wild restart.
Well, and I tell you, each of these restarts is going to help cool the tires down for these older tires group. And Ian Baker showed they can hold them off. This is very impressive to see. I think they're going to be able to give them a good run for their money. But in that caution there, it was Cody Dorsey in the 84 actually solo spin in there in the middle of 3 and 4. And similar to what we've seen all night, a lot of guys loose on exit, a lot of guys loose on entry. And he will go around, and unfortunately, it would actually collect Parker Johnson in the 14, who actually has no front end now. But he actually got the fast repair, so he came down pit road getting service done. Same for Nick Alves. He came down the 24 getting service done. That 24 machine to get out on track. But man, Finsler, he's got to feel pretty confident if he can just nail his restarts here, especially with tires, older tires on the outside of him, older tires on the inside of him. He knows there's no direct contact between new tires to be able to dive to his inside here into 1 or 3. So he has that little bit of, buffer room. I think this is the perfect spot for him here. But if we were to see Brandon Colley, Ian Baker get passed by Raider, and say Mark Whitley, that's when Jason Finsler would have to start to get nervous. But right now, he definitely has the buffer that will give him a little bit more confidence coming into that restart.
And that's the benefit of being in the lead and controlling the restart, is we've seen the 5 over and over and over again all night long get out there. Once he crosses that threshold for the flag, he is gone, and no one can really catch him. So with that buffer of the 1 and the 8, really helps Jason Fencer kind of maintain his calm and just realize he has a little bit of time to spread it out before possibly those other two cars getting past. And I don't want to jinx it, but another caution come out. So it's going to be really fun to watch the 5 and really the 53 and the 6 try and maneuver the way through these cars with the old tires.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, from what I've seen right there, it's just gonna be tough. And like I said, the more cautions we get, the more it cools down the leaders' tires up front, and it brings them back to life. And even right there on that last little takeoff of that last run, I mean, we're looking at lap times of 19:11 from Jason Fenster. I mean, his fastest lap of this race was at 18:89, and like that's not far off that. So I mean, that's only a couple tenths, and he's able to run that right there pretty confidently. So we'll see what can happen here. But they racked him up. They're double file here, Carl. Let's see how these guys work through this. Are we going to see another yellow, or are we going to take it to the checker flag?
And it's going to be really fun. I'm going to be watching the 6 and the 53. New tires, but they've been racing each other all night long, and they can only slow each other down. But the green flag is out. The 5 is away on that inside line again, like we've seen all night long. The 01 and the 8 side by side. Same with the 6 and the 53. So these guys are going to do some battling before they get it figured out down the back straightaway. The 5 just kind of increasing that lead, but looks like the 6 is going to edge out the 53, and there's the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. possibly trying to make the pass on the 53, but gets the door closed down on him. Oh, so we see the 8 get loose into turn 1, take out the 01 as well, and 53 get caught up in there. Oh man, the 53's luck can only last for so long. This is the 11th caution of the night coming out on lap 130. We are 10 to go here at North Wilkesboro, but man, these guys there is no give. It is all take, and they are just really getting after it. And that was an incident between the 8 and the 01. That's going to cause issues. The 6 was able to get through there unscathed, but unfortunately for the 53, he got kind of cut up in there. I don't see a lot of damage, but the 6 right behind the 5 on newer tires. This just got interesting, Zach. This is going to be a one wild restart and a wild end to this race.
Yeah, that's such a tough break. Just a mistake there from the 8, Ian Baker there. Trying to dive it on the flat there. Got loose under braking. Slides up into his rear end, up into Brandon Colley, who kicks him around. And that really saved the 8. I mean, from there, the 8 was fine. He got kicked back around, but the 01 just minding his own business up top, gets spun around. And the 53 Raider, I mean, like you said, he got into it, but good job of getting slowed down enough to not get too much damage there. He did about as best he could there to get the load up, being up top behind that wreck. And he's going to at least come out of that there in the 8th position, but with some good old damage. But man, Mark Whitley, again, just making it through an incident once more, and he's able to get back up to the 2nd spot. You're going to have Orlando Jr. also on a new set of tires there, up to 3rd. Ian Baker, he's fell back to 4th after that incident, with Justice Murphy now into the 5th position. It's interesting scenario, and when we get going back green, it's going to be about 5 to go, man. Mark Whitley is going to be aggressive here. We know both him and Kevin Orlando Jr. are going to do everything in their power to try to win this race. Jason Fencer, he has got to be nervous. This is the situation I was talking about. A fresh set of tires sitting on both sides of your race car.
I was just about to say that, Zach. You mentioned having that buffer, the 01 and the 8. That buffer is gone, and those new tires have made it up to him. That restart is going to save. Being able to control the lead is going to really help him out here, but for how long? Will there be enough time for any of the cars behind him to make that pass? We've seen it be a little difficult to pass, but with the massive separation of tire wear, 30 laps we went over. Yeah, this is going to be really fun to watch and see if the 5 can hang on and see how aggressive these guys get. We know the 6 is locked in, the 5 is locked into the playoffs. The 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr. is not. In fact, he is a bubble driver, so he's going to be one of those cars you're going to have to watch out for, because he is desperate for a win, wanting to get into those playoffs.
And I tell you what, if you're talking about new tires here, Mark Whitley, Kevin Orlando, 104 when they pitted, lap 77 for Jason Fensler and Ian Baker. Well, back 5th, 6th, in the 5th and 6th and 8th positions, you've got drivers that pitted at 1:14. So 10 lap fresher than anybody else in the field is going to be Justice Murphy, Grant Thorpe, and Blake Cook. Let's see what they can do to try to get into the mix here if we have another caution.
Will there be enough time? That is the question here with 6 to go. Green flag is out and away. The 5 goes on his launch, getting taken and sweeping into turn 1, but the 6 car was able to maintain. The 5 did not get the restart that he's used to, and those 2 cars are separating away from the rest of the field. The 27 of Orlando Jr. rubbing paint with the 8 of Ian Baker. Here we are crossing the line, 4 to go, and we see a caution come out again. We see a massive pileup coming out of turn 4, and this is going to set us up for a spectacular green-white checkered. This is wild, Zach. I would have never thought. I mean, this is a short track where we're used to a little more cautions, but man, it coming down to the wire of a green-white checker. 12 cautions on the night, and 2 of our best racers in the league duking it out on different sets of tires. You can't write this. You can't make this stuff up.
No, you definitely can't. And that incident there all started around the 21 at Christopher Heights there, back in the 11th position, just similar to what we've seen with the 8 machine, getting loose on entry, slides up the racetrack into the 24, Nick Alves. Nowhere for him to go, along with Parker Johnson, who luckily just skirts by as that incident's happening, but a lot of other drivers involved. John Magner in 15. I mean, just multiple incidents there. But yeah, it looks like Loveland going to take the worst damage out of that. But yeah, Jason Finsler now going to have the one and only green-white checkered attempt. This is our only chance at this, only attempt. And man, if Finsler can just hold off one more time, that's all he's got to do. This is it. But will Mark Whitley pull out the bumper? I mean, that's going to be the question. I mean, this is going to be a tough ending to this race. Somebody is going to be upset either way you look at it this way, I think, Earl.
Oh, after races like this, you can guarantee the only happy driver is the winning driver, and we still have 3 laps to figure that out. We have, they're saying 2 to go, but there it is, 3 to go, commencing the green-white checkered. So the way this works, with only 1 green-white checkered, the green flag will fly, will restart. They're going to make their way around. If the white flag flies, I guess it really doesn't matter, because if a caution comes out, the field will freeze, and that'll be our results for the race. But who will it be? We have the 27 of Kevin Orlando Jr., we have the 8 of Ian Baker, the 6 of Mark Whitley, all hungry and chomping at the bit to devour up that 5 car with the older tires. And then those 2 tribute cars, 3 of them behind there. These guys have come to play today, and it's been really fun to watch. All the beating and banging, the driving, the different lines, it's all come down to this last restart. So this is going to be one to really write about, and like you said, there's not going to be many happy drivers after this. I can guarantee that.
That there won't be, indeed, as the lights are still out on the pace cars. We continue to pace here around the North Wilkesboro Speedway, but yeah, this is one final time here to hold them off. And, you know, if you're Jason Finsler, at least you feel better. At least you got the 8 behind you on entry, you know, on the older set of tires. So that gives you a little bit of thought that the inside lane is probably going to be pretty clear there for you. You just have to worry about that 6, getting a good launch here in timing that restart. Because if he can hold suit and just stay on that door here and have a good enough restart to not allow that 5 to clear him here down in 1, it's going to get really, really interesting. It's going to be a side-by-side finish. If the 6 gets clear and they both solo clear, then that's where we see probably the front bumper being used. And that's where it gets interesting indeed here, Carl.
Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. Lights are out on the pace car. We are here after 12 cautions, green, white, checkered. This is it. This is determining the race winner. And there goes the 5 launching really, really well. And the 8 had a really good launch too, able to get to the inside of the 6, but the 6 takes it really, really wide, attacks that turn 1 really hard. He's got a little bit of momentum coming out of turn 2, solidifying the 2nd position. Here comes the 5 going to 3, coming out of 4. Here is the white flag, the freaky fast, 1 to go here at North Wilkesboro in the Underdog Racing League. And we see the 5 going to turn 1, the 6 going to wash up again, attacking really hard, getting a little squirrely, and that mistake right there should seal the fate of the 5. It looks like without any mistakes withstanding the 5 is going to take this one. Look at that. Jason Fenzer back to form here at North Wilkesboro, winning the race after 140 laps of chaos, 12 cautions, a green-white checkered. Zach, this race had it all.
That it did. The Racing for Awareness 140. It goes to Jason Fenzer. Man, oh man, what a job to hold him off on tires from lap 77, ladies and gentlemen. Just a masterful performance. He's had dominant performances before. This was the one that he was able to get back here into victory lane and not say it got taken away here as he celebrates on the front straightaway. Whitley didn't have nothing for him. Baker, great job by him on 77 lap hole tires the whole third of there, Carl.
Definitely. And we were talking about tires all night long and how they would be key. And then Jason Fenzer goes and proves us wrong. So once again, us commentators left out of the loop and just don't know what we're talking about apparently. But we will let these guys celebrate. We see these purple cars all do burnouts. This is all for Owen Skelly tonight in remembrance of the 14. So we will be right back, and we will have all our top 3 race finishers when we come back. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, after an action-packed, freaky fast broadcast here at North Wilkesboro. We finally, after a green-white checkered, have our top 3 finishers. And coming up first is the 3rd place of Ian Baker. Ian, it's Carl and Zach in the booth. Tell us what happened there. That last wreck you almost got into with the 01, and then that last restart, being able to hold off some of those other cars on newer tires. Tell us how that went.
Yeah, it was interesting. This, North Wilkesboro is such a technical track. Both sides are different, and you have to drive it different. And down there in the one, I was just trying to get all I could get with 10 laps to go, and got a little bit over the limit, and it just I couldn't save it from there. It sucks to get into the O1, but it is what it is.
Definitely, but you made it work. Next week we have Chicagoland, another one of those kind of one-off tracks, a little different configuration. Tell us how you think you're going to do on that one.
I like the mile and a half, intermediates, and especially in the Xfinity cars are very tough. They like to wear tires a little bit, so should be interesting. Should be fun.
That's good to hear. And, hopefully we can talk to you next week. But before we let you go this week, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to all the admins of this league, keeping it running, and y'all for a great broadcast every week. So go back and watch mistakes and see what we can learn.
Definitely appreciate the good words and the praise there, Ian. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
And that was our third place of Ian Baker. Here up next is our second place finisher of Mark Whitley. Mark, it is Carl and Zach in the booth. Walk us through. You already started lap 15. You got off of a sequence, just trying to capitalize on some strategy. Didn't end up working for you. What do you think you could have done differently?
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of chance to practice much before the race, so I was kind of in catch-up mode. That first little run we had until about lap 15, I noticed Finsler was just kind of walking away. I was trying just to keep the rear tires under it, and I figured I'd just try something different to get off sequence, see if I could get out in the lead, and it kind of worked. We were able to get back out in the lead, and that second stage we were able to hold them off with the little bit older tires, and thought we were going to do pretty good. And then again, once we pitted, me and Finsler were kind of far back. Some other people stayed out, and I felt like I just got caught I just couldn't get in the right spot. I was trapped in traffic, and I couldn't get where I wanted to be, and I was stuck on the bottom. Every lane I wanted to be in, I just couldn't get to. So decided to pit there toward the end of the race and just kind of a Hail Mary just to try something. Then got a little lucky with people pitting after that, and then eventually we got up there and got all the way to second. We just didn't have enough time. If that race would have went green from the first time I got up to second on the restart, we might have had a chance. I would have needed a few laps to get around Finsler. I was going to try to make sure I didn't have to use the bumper. I know me and him raced pretty clean, so I didn't really want to have to move them. But just the cautions back and kept coming out, and then I couldn't get the jump I wanted on the restart. And then the last one there, I knew it was pretty much all or nothing. So I drove it in about as deep as I could and just didn't stick, and was just holding on for second. So I mean, it was just one of those things where I think the leader, if Finsler was fast, he was probably the fastest car out there, but I was able to hold him off. If I get in front of him, it was just trying to get the track position, getting a little bit fresher tires, strategizing, getting around him, and just never worked out. Just kind of how it goes on some of these strategy calls. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I mean, still got a second place finish, so all in all, I think it's a fairly decent night.
Second place isn't bad, Mark. We've talked to you for quite a few weeks in a row now. Do you think we can do it next week at Chicagoland, a mile and a half? Another kind of interesting track to run.
Yeah, Chicagoland. I've always kind of liked it. Every now and then they've changed it and it's made it a little weird, but I think it's a pretty good track for us. So hopefully we can run up front, maybe get another win here. I know playoffs are going to be here before you know it, so we're just trying to get as many bonus points for them and just get ready for it and see how it goes. I mean, right now, every win right now is just a bonus. We're already locked in, so we're just kind of out here having fun, just trying to run as hard as we can. But that's the goal always, I guess.
Playoffs on everyone's mind, Mark. So definitely good to hear you talk about it. Before we let you go, though, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Oh yeah, big shout out Harpoon Designs, putting on all my paint schemes I got going on here. Check him out, harpoondesign.com. You can shoot him an email if you want to get him to do a custom one. He's does great work. And if you want to check out some more stuff he's done, just hit him up on Trading Paints. He's got a couple hundred, if not 1,000, on there that are all pretty good. He's done. And my other sponsor, Shop Angry Duck, they're the one-stop shop for all your custom racewear, hats, t-shirts, hoodies. Pretty much anything you can imagine. They can make something custom for you, and works always impeccable. Check them out, shopangryduck.com. And then big shout out to all my family. They're always tuning in for these races, no matter how many I do in a week. They're always tuning in, giving me support. It's always good, especially when you have a bad night, like I had last week. It's always nice to have them, giving you support. Whenever you do something bad, do something stupid, they'll be, they won't let you hang your head too bad. So it's always great having them in my corner. And y'all putting on a great broadcast. It's always fun to go back and watch. Freaky Fast has got to be one of the best on iRacing, so it's always fun to be able to watch yourself race and kind of learn what other people are doing during the race. So it's always fun to watch y'all.
We definitely appreciate that, Mark. So hopefully we'll talk to you next week at Chicago, and you good luck.
All right, appreciate it.
And that was the second place of Mark Whitley. But here we are. This is the moment you all wanted, talking to the winner, Jason Fensler. Jason, it's Carl and Zach in the booth. You tried to do a little bit different pit strategy. You stayed out. You had older tires, were able to hold off the field. How did that feel with that last restart?
I kind of felt it was my best option. It was kind of my strategy going in. Track position was just so important. You can be faster than the guy in front of you, but just had to work your car way too hard to try and get around them. And I felt like by the time you work your way through the field, you'd be at a little bit of a deficit. So that was my strategy all along, and it just happened to play out. I knew cautions would be coming out quite a bit, and they did. But it was a good battle to the end.
That was a great battle up here. I know I had fun. But we have Chicagoland next week, another intermediate at night. So what are we expecting, Kier? Are you and the six going to maybe duel it out again?
More than likely. He's pretty quick. So we got to do our homework and stay on top of our game and try and give him a run for his money. But I think there it's just going to be, it's kind of an aero track, but you still got to watch the tires and all that stuff. So there'll be some comers and goers, but hopefully we got the speed and we'll be in contention.
Definitely look forward to seeing you race. But before we go, sir, anyone you want to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, first off, our thoughts and prayers are with the Skelly family. Losing Owen Skelly is real difficult right now for them. So we're definitely thinking about them. You guys for the broadcast. You guys do a fantastic job. Really appreciate it. And all the friends and family tuning in.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, all our thoughts are with the Skelly family. Jason, you good luck, sir. And we hope to see you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you very much.
And that was our race winner of Jason Fensler. Zach, we had 140 laps of, I would say, almost complete chaos and carnage. The 12 cautions, a green, white, checkered. How much of this racing do you think they can use towards and into the playoffs? I know Bristol is in the playoffs, so that's going to be interesting. Do you think what they did here, they're going to be able to learn going into the playoffs, especially Bristol?
Yeah, still a short track at Bristol, so it could be comparable, but still, this is just one of those survival type of deals. It kind of sets you up for strategies, understanding how to play strategies for races that have multiple yellows. Flags can really throw a whole different spin into a race, but you got to be on top of the strategy at all different points, and that's what you got to be able to do to win these short tracks. So that's something I think they can take from the night to the Bristol, but it'll be interesting. But also that first race at the Daytona Road Course, hitting a lot of brakes here. You'll be using the brakes a lot there, so probably sharpen your skills there for braking and getting back on the power here too. So it'll be interesting, man. But tonight's race was fantastic for sure. As they were a pretty mixed bag of results.
Tonight's race was definitely a mixed bag and a ton of fun to watch. But here is the results. Of course, Jason Fensler taking the checkered flag, followed by Mark Whitley and Ian Baker rounding out the podium. Grant Thorpe with a strong showing there in fourth. Kevin Orlando Jr. was able to make those four-tire strategy work, ending up in fifth. Great point save for him. Justice Murphy in sixth. Ray Lane, after spending the majority of the day in the top four, falls down to seventh. Jake Williams in eighth. Brandon Colley in ninth after a late race incident. And then John Magner rounding out the top 10. A couple of cars that really kind of scream out to me is that Nick Alves in the 24 there in 14th. He needed a good points race to kind of give himself off that bubble, and it just did not work. Same there with Dylan Walterman there in 16th. But Robert Rader, 20th spot, started 20th. He was there in second running and then just got caught up in a late race incident. So just not the results he wanted, especially after winning Nashville Super Speedway last night. So after tonight, it's been definitely a wild run. We have way more racing for this week slated. We have tomorrow night. I think it's Stars and Stripes. They're looking to go to Talladega, good old Dega, the 2.66 mile super speedway. Saturdays are off season for the NAI SEC Cup Series. They're getting ready to start off strong here in the next little bits. Sunday is MPI, catch that. And Monday is the NISCC Trucks. So don't forget to tune into that. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Make sure you never miss a moment of the action. But not to distract from tonight, this was really a tribute race for a lost friend of the community, Owen Skelly. We talked about it this week, talked about it over the race, a lot of tributes. So just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, you never know how much time you got. Love your loved ones, grab them, hold them tight, hug them hard, and just love them with all you got, because I know I can speak for Zach and Rob here. We all love you. Make sure God bless, and we'll see you all on our next broadcast.